GE9 Life and Works of Rizal. Chapter 8 Noli Me Tangere, published in Berlin, 1887. Introduction. The bleak winter of 1886 was memorable in the life of Rizal for two reasons. First, it was a painful episode, for he was hungry, sick, and despondent in a strange city. And second, it brought him great joy. After enduring so much sufferings, because his first novel, No Limit Tangere, came off the press in March 1887. Like legendary Santa Claus, Dr. Maximo Viola, his friend from Bulacan, arrived in Berlin at the height of his despondency and loaned him the needed funds to publish the novel. Idea of writing a novel on the Philippines. Dr. Rizal was inspired by his reading of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin to prepare a novel that would depict the miseries of his people under the lash of Spanish tyrants, which portrays the brutalities of American slave owners and the pathetic conditions of the unfortunate Negro slaves. After he read the novel, he had an inspiration to write his own novel with the same topic to expose Spanish colonial abuse in print. Beecher Stowe's novel describes black slavery abuse done by white men. Rizal suggested to his fellow Filipino friends in Europe through writing to have a meeting and plan for writing a novel similar to that Beecher Stowe's. January 2, 1884, Rizal and his friends, including the Paterno brothers, Pedro, Maximo, and Antonio, Luciano Lopez Haina, Evaristo Aguirre, Eduardo Delete, Melesio Figueroa, Valentin Ventura, and Julio Lorento, decided to meet at the Paterno's house in Madrid. Each of them agreed to write a unified novel. Suddenly, when the writing began, most of them wanted to change the topic from Spanish abuse to some who related to women. Rizal was disgusted at such flippancy, and was more disgusted to see that his companions, instead of working seriously on the novel, wasted their time gambling and flirting with Spanish senoritas. Rizal walked out of the hall and decided to write the novel himself. The writing of the Noli. Towards the end of 1884, Rizal began writing the novel in Madrid and finished about one half of it. When he went to Paris in 1885, after completing his studies in Central University of Madrid, he continued writing the novel, finishing one half of the second half. He finished the last fourth of the novel in Germany. He wrote the last few chapters of the Noli in Wilhelmsfield in April to June 1886. The first half of the Noli Me Tangere was written in Madrid, Spain from 1884 to 1885, while Dr. Jose P. Rizal was studying for medicine. While in Germany, Rizal wrote the second half of the Noli Me Tangere from time to time starting February 21 to 1887. Viola, the savior of the Noli. In the midst of his despondency and misery, Rizal received a telegram from Dr. Maximo Viola, who was coming to Berlin. This friend of Rizal was a scion of a rich family of San Miguel, Bulacan. When he arrived in Berlin, shortly before Christmas Day of 1887, he was shocked to find Rizal living in poverty and deplorably sickly due to lack of proper nourishment. At time when the novel is ready for printing, Rizal ran out of funds. Rizal is about to throw the Noli manuscript into the fireplace when he received the Viola's telegram agreeing for lending him money. Viola gave him an amount of equal to 300 pesos as preliminary payment for the first 2,000 copies of the Noli Me Tangere. Rizal suspected as French spy. During the printing of the Noli, a rare incident happened to Rizal. One morning, the chief of police Berlin paid a sudden visit to Rizal's boarding house and requested to see the latter's passport. Unfortunately, Rizal could not produce a passport, for he had none. In those days, it was possible to travel without a passport. The police chief then told him to secure a passport within 4 days, otherwise he would be deported. Rizal, in fluent German language, explained to the police chief he was not a French spy. Rizal's explanation, and fascinated by his mastery of the German language, the police chief was satisfied and allowed him to stay freely in Germany. Printing of the Nole finished. After the incident of his aborted deportation as a suspected French spy, Rizal, with the help of Viola, supervised the printing of the Nole. Day by day, They were at the printing shop, proofreading the printed pages. On March 21, 1887, the Noli Me Tangere came off the press. Rizal immediately sent the first copies of the printed novel to his intimate friends, including Blumentritt, Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor, J. Lopez Haina, Mariano Ponce, and Felix R. Hidalgo. On March 29, 1887, Rizal, in token of his appreciation and gratitude, gave Viola the galley proofs of the Noli, carefully rolled around the pen that he used for writing it. The title of the novel. The title Noli Me Tangere is a Latin phrase which means touch me not. It is not originally conceived by Rizal, for he admitted taking it from the Bible. The title Noli Me Tangere is not Spanish nor Tagalog, but Latin. Rizal, in his letter to his friend and Czech scientist Ferdinand Blumentritt, admitted that he obtained the title from the Bible. Rizal took the passage into John 20:17, where Jesus said to Mary Magdalene, "Don't touch me," when she recognized him after his resurrection. The passage, when translated into Latin, is equivalent to Noli Me Tangere. The author's dedication. Rizal dedicated his Noli Me Tangere to the Philippines, to my fatherland. Synopsis of the Noli. The novel Noli Me Tangere contains 63 chapters and an epilogue. It begins with the reception given by Capitan Tiago Santiago de los Santos at his house in Calle Anwalge, now Juan Luna Street, on the last day of October. This reception or dinner was given in honor of Crisostomo Ibarra, a young and rich Filipino who had just returned after 7 years of study in Europe. Ibarra was the only son of Don Rafael Ibarra, friend of Capitan Tiago, and the fiancé of a beautiful Maria Clara, supposed daughter of Capitan Tiago. Ibarra, upon his arrival, produced a favorable impression among the guests, except Padre Damaso, who was rude to him. Lieutenant Guevara told Ibarra the sad story of his father's death in San Diego. On hearing about his father's sad story, Ibarra thanked the kind Spanish lieutenant and vowed to find out the truth about his father's death. Ibarra was angered by the grave digger's story. In his town, Ibarra met several interesting people, such as the wise old man, Tasio the philosopher, whose ideas were too advanced for his times, so that the people who could not understand him called him Tasio the lunatic. The most tragic story in the novel is the tale of Sisa, who was formerly a rich girl but became poor because she married a gambler and a wastrel at that. She became crazy because she lost her two boys, Basilio and Crispin, the joys of her wretched life. These boys were sacristanes or sextons in the church, working for a small wage to support their poor mother. Crispin, the younger of the two brothers, was accused by the brutal sacristan mayor or chief sexton of stealing the money of the priest. He was tortured in the convent and died.